This show features adults saying adult things. You have been warned.
What?
He says mad cow disease. Moo. 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 Ow. Moo. 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 Moo.
Okay, that was pretty good. This is HammerCast, episode 21, bringing you your weekly news and discussion about the world of games, smashing buttons, clicking mice, shuffling cards, and rolling dice. It is Wednesday, July 22nd, 2015. My name is Duane Sibley, and I am joined by your hosts, Mr. Todd Chartier and Mr. Joe Hollis. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hey, hey, hey.
So, what have you been playing?
I actually have had a pretty prolific week of gaming. I've played some Heroes of the Storm. I've played some Team Fortress 2. I've streamed a whole bunch of City Skylines. And for me, all of those things added up create an epic week of gaming.
Yeah.
I have not been playing Ride the Airplane for the last week or so, although I fly out again on Saturday. So yeah, it's been an all right week for me.
Awesome. I knew about your City Skylines streaming, which was awesome, and we'll go ahead and link to that in the show notes. Did you save those for video on demand, or were they just ephemeral streams?
I don't know. Does Twitch save them?
I don't know if they save them by default. I know mine's off. I'll have to check after we record whether or not yours are saved.
Then let's assume no.
Okay. Well, if you do it again, we'll be sure to let folks know via the Hammer Gaming Twitter account. That's at Hammer Gaming on Twitter. Joe, what have you been playing this week?
Well, Sunday I streamed us playing Heroes of the Storm as a guild. I played some City Skylines. Last night I finally got a city that is not dying.
Hooray!
Well, my problem was that I started off with a whole bunch of mods, and I kept testing them and playing around with them, and I kept destroying my cities, so I just keep starting over, getting used to the mods and stuff. So maybe it's not the best idea to start off with mods. Play the game a little bit before you have mods, maybe. Or not such intrusive mods like the ones that I picked.
Were you playing with my mod pack, or did you cobble together a whole bunch of stuff on your own?
Cobbled together a bunch of stuff on my own.
Yeah, we added some stuff. Traffic managers and public transportation managers and things like that.
Okay.
I did rip out my last stream. I ripped out all my public transportation and rebuilt it. And by looking at the current stats, people love riding the train, but if you're going to ride a bus in my city, it's about $14,000. Because I only have 9 riders, but I have like 62 buses and 12 lines. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. People don't like the buses in my city.
Wow, so it's public transportation in Hartford, Connecticut, then. Nobody rides the bus.
Yeah, CT Fast Track, bitches.
Other than that, I played, by recommendation of Alan Astis, I was playing Portal Stories Mel, which is it's like a prequel to the original story of how Portal started and everything, and then it goes deeper in. I haven't made it very far in it yet. I still want to play some more of it. I might actually just start over and either stream it or record it, because it's pretty fun so far. It's got all custom work, voiceovers and everything, new puzzles to explore. It looks really fun. And
there's a couple of multiplayer ones, Joe, that I'd be willing to record or stream with someone too.
Yeah, definitely.
Duane and I played through the Portal 2 multiplayer, which is really the only Portal 2 I've played, and we had a ton of fun, but it was before we started doing any of this stuff.
Yeah, that was a great time.
Go
ahead, Joe.
Me and Duane at one point were streaming Portal 2 for a little bit, weren't we? Like for a couple days.
I'll go ahead and say this. I don't recall, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Oh, okay.
I've been playing Splatoon on our Wii U. It's kind of become the family obsession of late. I've also been playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3D on the Nintendo 3DS. That's been my curl up in bed and play something before I pass out game. And just last night, that game company's Journey was released for PlayStation 4. This was originally released a few years ago on the PS3 and was an amazing, amazing atmospheric game. And they released a PS4 port of it yesterday, and all people who had purchased Journey on PS3 previously got the PS4 port for free. So it's a nice little graphical overhaul to a classic game. People are going to be talking about this game 10 years from now, 20 years from now, easily. And I was happy to see it up again.
Speaking of that kind of stuff, wasn't there some new, I didn't see it in our news list, but wasn't there some news about Sega porting Phantasy Star 2 or something to bring it to the Western Hemisphere?
I didn't see anything about that in my news, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. I
thought there was something with the new guy, the new president from Sega. That was like his first big thing, was he ported
Phantasy Star Online too.
That's what it was.
So, yeah, it's been out since 2012 in Asia, but never made the jump to North America until now. There were IP blocks in place to keep you from connecting to the game if you were not in Southeast Asia, but they appear to have taken those down. So now, if you want to...
How the fuck I ran across a piece of console news that you didn't, I have no idea.
That's a really good question. I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you.
So
now, is it a console game? I'm not aware of what console it's for. I've never really played Phantasy Star games.
I know Phantasy Star was a console game because it almost made me buy that particular console from
Was it a Dreamcast?
One. I don't remember.
It sounds like it would have been a Dreamcast game.
Yeah, beats me. I'm not big in the consoles.
We couldn't tell. Let's see.
I just want to throw in a little bit of, what's the name of that game? It's 3 versus 3. It's all cars trying to play soccer, basically. Like you play soccer with your cars. I cannot remember.
I know there was an episode of Top Gear like that, but I don't remember a video game.
So the game is called Rocket League. Have any of you heard of that?
I've seen people on my friends list playing it. I did not know what it was.
It's like that is the new popular game going on right now. I've seen all the popular YouTubers are playing it. A lot of streamers are playing it. Like a lot of the really popular streamers are playing it. I don't care for the game, and I'm actually kind of sick of seeing it being played everywhere because it's the same exact thing every single time. But that's like the thing of the month so far is that game. And like I think there's even tournaments of it running and everything, and I just don't. It has
an official soundtrack that you can buy on iTunes. My God. I'm going to have to check this out because I'm a total sucker for video game soundtracks.
Yeah, I actually, as you said that, Joe, you reminded me. I just sent an email, as I just typed it, actually. We're going to see about adding that to PAX.
Really? Great.
Sweet.
Yeah, see if we can set up a tournament maybe, and since it's a good 3v3 game, we can easily bracket out a tournament for that. So those are the kind of games we like. And it's an indie game, which, not really any smaller developer, I think. So it's easy for us to get a hold of those folks and get them to give us some free shit.
It's published by the same people who wrote the game, so I'll go ahead and call that indie.
Okay.
They don't have a publisher in between them and the consumer. So
yeah, and it's on Steam, so we can add it to the Steam cache and easily push it out to people.
So there you go.
Sweet.
Yeah, at PAX, there's actually ways that we can allow people, even in BYOC, to play games for free, as long as they're logging into the PAX Steam server. It kind of, pre-authenticates them for a particular game. Then as soon as they go home, they can't play the game. But
right.
It's kind of a neat thing that Valve lets us do sometimes.
I mean, it looks like it's probably a fun game to play, but watching, I just haven't been really that interested in watching it be played.
Yeah, I wouldn't sit and watch a Team Fortress game. That just wouldn't be that interesting to me.
Right.
Okay, let's hit the news.
Yeah, well, first we'll do a little bit of follow-up. Star Citizen, or Star Marine, was a huge topic of our show last week. After we posted the show last Thursday, we got some news via an interview Chris Roberts did with Gamers Nexus, where he said that Star Marine will be coming in the 3 to 5 week time frame, sometime just after upcoming Gamescom at the beginning of August. And he also penned a letter, one of his regular letters from the chairman, where he indicated, that there is no real feature creep with Star Citizen as a project, because every stretch goal was laid out in front of the community and given a price, and the community decided whether they were going to fund it or not. And after a while, at the end of last year, they decided no more stretch goals. We need to freeze everything we've offered where it's at so we can actually finish this game at some point. So it's an interesting set of releases from Cloud Imperium. They also released a status update where they showed off screenshots and some animations of where they're at with Star Marine. And this is an interesting set of news. Also, worth noting, Cloud Imperium's up to 255 staff now, from 5 that they had at the end of the Kickstarter campaign a few years back. So after all of this news, guys, how are we feeling about Star Marine and through that, Star Citizen in general?
So, didn't we announce last week that Cloud Imperium said that it was delayed indefinitely?
Yes.
So how do we go from indefinite to 5 weeks?
Well, Roberts tended to blame that on the media misreporting what Cloud Imperium actually said. They go from saying we don't have a date right now, and the media translates that as delayed indefinitely.
Okay.
Because at one point they had a date, and then they said we're not going to hit that date, and right now we don't have a new date for you. And the media goes, oh, well, that means delayed indefinitely, which has a completely different set of connotations.
We are absolutely never getting it.
I mean, it's interesting that he stopped stretch goals. I don't disagree with that at all. However, he's still taking money. So, there hasn't been any stretch goals since, I think, 60 million, 65 million, something like that.
Yeah, something
and they're up to like 85 million. Not that I'm really questioning what he's going to do with the extra 20 million. I'm sure it'll go into the game somehow. But it'd be nice if, if he said things like, look, if we hit 100 million, this is what we'll do 3 years or a year after the game is released, or, something. I mean, at least tease the community with, we're going to at least attempt to do this in the future with all of your money.
Or they can just start giving all of the backers free stuff. Like stuff that they've already got, just give you some starter ships or an upgrade to your hangar or something.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, are they still considering people that buy ships backers? Are those still considered backers?
I believe they are, yes, because the money they contribute is posted to the funds raise page at robertspaceindustries.com.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
All right, moving on to Fallout Shelter. Have either of you guys tried this yet? I know Abner was into it, and I played a little bit of it. Todd, you're shaking your head yes. Did you try it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's great on my phone. I think that there's a lot going on the screen for such a tiny screen. Even Fallout While I Poop is still a little obnoxious. I don't know. I mean, the concept is neat. I probably should try it on Phil's iPad to see if it's any better on that platform.
Yeah, I was playing it on my iPad mini, and that is definitely the definitive experience. When it finally does hit Android, it's going to be pretty nice on those Nexi that you have.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for.
Despite the fact that it might be somewhat suboptimal on phones and better on tablets, it looks as though Bethesda has a hit on their hands. They sold $5.1 million in lunchboxes in the 2 weeks at the end of June between when they announced and released the game during E3 and July 1st. Now, these lunchboxes contain items and dwellers that you could get naturally just by playing the game, but if you want to jumpstart your colony, or your vault, then you can go ahead and spend real money to buy these lunchboxes. Now, it's important to note that unlike a lot of free-to-play, or as we like to call them, free-to-start games, there are no lives, tokens, or other contrived microtransaction paywalls in Fallout Shelter. That's actually one of the reasons why a lot of people jumped on board, was that it was a free-to-play game that you could spend money on, but didn't go out of its way to coerce you to spend money on it. And people still spent $5.1 million in lunchboxes. guys, what the hell's going on here?
Apple laughed all the way to the bank.
Bethesda still took home 70% of that, so they're laughing to the bank too.
Right, but they actually had to write and support a game. Apple they just put it on the store. 30% is mine. Thanks, guys.
Now, how often do you see really big developers making an in-game or a phone app game or a tablet app game?
Well, I know EA is definitely in that business. The problem is that most of their games are either A, overpriced, or B, do that whole lives, tokens, paywall bullshit.
I think it's because it was tied to such a big name coming out, the new Fallout. They announced it and said it's releasing tonight. It had a lot of coverage to it where you don't really hear a lot of coverage on phone apps, phone games, tablet games. So this is one of the only ones that I've ever heard that gets a lot of popularity right away. So it doesn't surprise me that it did good. 5.1 million though, that surprises me.
I'm not, I think it's Bethesda, right? Is that who makes this damn thing?
It is Bethesda, yes.
I think they hit the perfect formula, right? I mean, they had a good game, Fallout 4, 3, in New Vegas. The old one in New Vegas.
3, yeah.
Was obviously a good game, very popular. They enticed us with the right amount of, feel goods in the right places with their demo and their stuff at E3 for Fallout 4. And then they gave us something to occupy ourselves while we wait for that. I think that, they were in the right place at the right time with the right product. So, hats off to them.
Yeah. And they didn't give people time to forget about it by waiting for it to come out. They just went, it's releasing today.
And fuck Android.
It was a really smart play of them to actually drop this in the middle of their conference because, a lot of the bigger publishers, even if they had made a mobile game, they might not have wanted to mention it. They might have been a little gun shy about it during their actual on-stage time because they wanted to dedicate that time toward the AAA, blow your socks off kind of announcements. And by putting this on stage, instead of burying it in a press release the next morning, they got, like Joe said, they got a lot of people to just download and try it instantly. I mean, I did. I downloaded it that night. Like, we were in the middle of live tweeting the event, and I already had my phone in my hand, and I was downloading the game. Although I have not bought a lunchbox yet.
I downloaded it 3 days ago.
Well, it's like this big conference of games that you can't have yet, and they announce one that you can play right now. So it's like, overwhelmingly, I want to play these games. Oh, look, there's one I can play. Might as well download it.
Yeah, that's a smart tactic, and it seems to be working out really well for them. Oculus has acquired Israeli company Pebble Interactive. These guys specialize in motion tracking, and the prevailing theory is that this purchase could lead to the complete omission of those neat Oculus touch controllers that Palmer Luckey showed off right before E3 at the Oculus event, and replace them with more sophisticated tracking of hands and other extremities via external sensors, kind of like a really advanced version of the Kinect built into your Oculus headset. Interesting?
I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, I don't know.
Did
Just
you
give
see
me a goddamn plug for my brain, for Pete's sakes?
I'm sure they're working on that.
Full
We're just
dive.
not there yet.
Full dive, right, exactly. Ball deep, full dive.
I still, every once in a while, go back and watch that series. It's a really
Sword
good show.
Art Online?
Yeah. I saw the video on it where the guy's moving around his hands, and it looks a little glitchy, but I mean, it's a prototype, right? And he's moving the ball around in his hand, and he's holding a credit card. It looked like it recognized that it was a different object than his hand, and he was moving the ball around with that. It looked advanced. I mean, I don't think that they were going to show any glitches that they were having in their demonstration of it. I think we'll have to wait until people start making videos using it before we see any really major problems with that software, but it looks impressive from what they've showed.
I think we're still on the bleeding edge, early days of all of this technology. I think that, the best parts are still to come in 5 years or so. and I'm interested in that. I think it's all a little clunky right now. I mean, I'm interested in the the Oculus, and I definitely want to try a new one, and I'll probably buy one. Whether or not I'll use it, I don't know. But I just think that waving my hands around and doing stuff like that while sitting at my computer desk doesn't necessarily seem as conducive. I'll just be knocking shit off my desk and breaking my monitors, and who knows what else will be happening. The other thing that doesn't really super annoy me with the Oculus, but I wish it was an option, was a headset option to add a boom mic or something, because a lot of these games, hopefully, I personally
will have multiplayer.
Right, we want to be playing multiplayer, and then I have very few options to add a microphone. I mean, I'm lucky enough, to have this, this studio mic here, but I couldn't have it this close to my face with an Oculus Rift on. I'd be like, I mean, it'd be a fucking train wreck. So now that I fucked up my mic, but so I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with that, but I'm a little concerned.
Okay.
That was kind of a visual for anyone that's just listening to the...
Yeah, I kind of want to just watch Todd bang his head into his microphone all day. I mean, I could content myself with that.
Feels a lot like work.
So, did any of you guys play the Knights of the Old Republic series? This is not to be mistaken with the Old Republic MMO from EA and BioWare. The Knights of the Old Republic were a series of Baldur's Gate-style games set in the Star Wars universe using the D20 RPG rules, and they tell a lot of the story that leads into the Old Republic MMO.
No, but I've heard great things about it.
Yeah, they were excellent games. And the second one, Knights of the Old Republic, The Sith Lords, or Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords, received its first patch in about 10 years yesterday. The Steam version of the game added Steam achievements, Steam Cloud save support, controller support, widescreen aspect ratios, because previously the game was stuck at 4:3 or 5:4, up to 5K resolution support, which is redonkadonk. And it rolls in the fan-made Sith Lords Restored Content mod, which fixed a bunch of bugs in the original game and restored a bunch of cut content that shipped on the disc but was not accessible through the gameplay flow. A 10-year-old game getting a patch out of the blue. What the hell, guys?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, is this just a lead up to get people really interested before Battlefront comes out, or those are different studios? So I'm not sure.
But EA is the publisher on both, so
so it could be. I mean, maybe they're just trying to reinvigorate the fan base.
Yeah, possibly. Joe?
I'm not sure. I've never played it. I mean, a patch to a 10-year-old game isn't really going to get me to go back and play it.
For $7.50, Joe, you could do that.
No, I've got plenty of other games that I'm more interested in playing right now.
Yeah, my brother sent me a link to some. He said, "Oh, it's only $12. You should get it." I'm like, I've got like 3 dozen $12 games that I've never even launched. It's like, this would just be in a long list.
I think we each have backlogs the size of our legs. It's just ridiculous. Commodore. Remember those guys?
Yeah, man. I remember the Commodore 64, Commodore 128.
Yep. Commodore 64 was the first computer my family ever had. Well, they're kind of back. A pair of Italian guys in Britain have registered a trademark for Commodore Business Machines Limited, and their first product just rolled off the line this week, the Commodore PET smartphone. This is an Android-powered smartphone running Android Lollipop that comes with Commodore 64 and Amiga emulators and a selection of games that you could play from that bygone era. This is not the first time Commodore has attempted to make a comeback. A few years ago, I think around 2012 or 2011, there was a company that made a Commodore 64 analog. Like, it actually looked like the keyboard computer Commodore 64, but it contained a modern-day Pentium with modern-day RAM and a modern-day video card, and you could play all of your latest games on it, and it also came with a Commodore 64 emulator, so you could play the old ones. Sadly, that was not a commercial success. They folded in 2013, but this smartphone is kind of odd and interesting. It's currently available online now at commodore-pet.com/shop and starts at €290. I think that works out to about $316 US.
If Microsoft, a multi-billion-dollar company, can't make a start on a cell phone with a new platform kind of thing, good luck, man. More power to you. I mean, I hope it works, and I hope you guys do okay, but I don't see a very bright future in this star.
Well, the thing that they've got going for them is that they're actually running Android, whereas Windows is trying to run their own Windows operating system on a phone. So they've got that. I mean, still there's much bigger names out there that I'm looking at rather than a new phone coming out. I'm sure people will try it, but I don't know how much of a hit it'll be.
Yeah, and I think it's a little sad that Microsoft can't make it happen as we kind of talk about cell phones a little bit. There's the new Windows 10 and Xbox integration, and I really think that Microsoft just kind of played a little early, pushing Metro and 8 with their Windows Phone. If they would have waited until Windows 10, I think they would have had a lot more success.
Really? You think that Microsoft went too fast? Because I've always been of the opinion that Microsoft moved too slow.
Oh no, they absolutely moved too slow in the beginning, but I think now they came in at the wrong time. So they should have waited instead of putting all their eggs in the Windows 8 basket with the Metro integration, thinking everyone would want the same style of platform. I think that was a bad idea because Windows 8 was a marginal flop. And now with Windows 10, all the reviews are coming out awesome. I'm personally going to upgrade now finally. They've sorted out all the bugs in Metro and Live Tiles and all this kind of stuff, which is still a little weird. But, I think now would have been a better time to strike on the Windows Phone thing.
Well, this is as good a time as any to remind you that HammerCast is brought to you by the Hammer Gaming Community, an adults-only group of gamers from across North America and Europe that play all sorts of games together. The Hammer's been around since 2007, originating as an MMO guild and expanding into a full community with our own forum, Minecraft server, and the podcast you're listening to or watching right now. You can check us out at hammergaming.com. So, a couple of weeks ago, Todd, are you okay? You gonna die?
My vape just did that thing I was talking about before the show.
So your vape's trying to kill you, basically.
It is. I think it is. It hates me. Go on.
All right. So a couple weeks ago, we had OMG WTF BBQ East, and most of us were there. And the day after, or the morning after, we were all sitting around in J-Beck and Thorby's living room, and we were watching old TV shows, one of which was the very first episode of Knight Rider. And it was the most awesome, cheesy thing ever. Well, now if you own GTA 5, you can partake in that awesome cheesiness by downloading the Knight Rider Kit mod. This mod adds self-driving cars and talking cars to the game, just like in Knight Rider. Did you guys take a look at this?
No, I did. I skimmed through the article real quick. Interesting. I haven't played GTA 5 in a while now, but I'll get back to it one of these days. So maybe. I haven't put any mods in for GTA.
I'm still wary of mods because a lot of them had built-in viruses in them and stuff, and there was no way to really tell. But they didn't they kind of fix it? Didn't they add something that helped prevent viruses from being allowed onto the files or something?
I believe so. I believe the repos where you would download these things got a lot more stringent about what they would accept. So, but yeah, the mod allows you to drive that 1970s era Trans Am with the classic black styling and the wig wag lights in the front of the grill, and it can turbo boost. It can do jumps. It can it makes little sound. I don't know if it has ejector seats, but it does have a whole sound pack from the show.
Rocket launchers
and
minigun
and rocket launchers. Yes.
Can it drive across lava?
Yes. It's indestructible.
It'd have to be.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, so's K.I.T., so. Well, I'm glad to see they, stuck to canon.
If there were lava in Grand Theft Auto, then yes.
I don't think it has cannons, Duane.
I don't know, man. I am looking at a photo right now of a Gatling gun on the hood of K.I.T.T. So
It's not a cannon, though.
They call it a cannon when they put it in the plane. Just, throwing that out there. The Minecraft film, which is the oddest concept I think I've heard of this year, but the Minecraft film has a director, Rob McElhenney, who many know as that guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, is going to be the director of the Minecraft film. He tweeted out the day it was announced, "Hey, Mojang, let's do something strange and wonderful." The whole concept of a Minecraft film is strange. I mean, you guys are huge Minecraft fans. You pay for and run our Minecraft server. What's up with this film? What could they possibly do that would be compelling other than making like a blocky version of the classic summer children's film?
I have no idea. I mean, haven't they already done this in Journey to the Center of the Earth? I mean, that's really the goal of Minecraft, right? Ooh, diamonds. I don't know. That's a weird concept to me. I don't get it. I'm morbidly curious as to what they could possibly do, but I think it's going to be terrible.
Yeah, the guy who's directing it has never directed anything before, right?
Yeah, he's starred in a few things, but the literally the biggest thing he's ever done was It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is a sitcom about people being mean to each other.
And I don't know. I just have this feeling that the movie is just going to be this kid's movie, rated G. There's not going to be anything interesting there for adults because a lot of people view Minecraft as something that's for kids. And the fact that they're putting somebody who has no experience directing on it says to me that they're not really putting a ton of effort into it.
Well, yes and no. I mean, they have to interview the guy. They have to see what he could do behind the camera. Just because he hasn't done anything that's been released doesn't mean they didn't make him show a body of work before they hired him. And also, just because it's rated G doesn't mean it's necessarily not going to have anything for adults. I give you Pixar's entire library.
I want to go see that new movie.
Oh, the one about the emotions? Yes. Yes.
Wait.
Inside Out?
No.
No?
Is it just called Pixels?
Yeah. The one where Pac-Man's destroying the city with Adam Sandler and Tyrion.
What?
Yeah, you need to go
That actually is
watch.
a film?
Yes, you need to go watch that. Peter Dinklage is in it from Game of Thrones, and
Yeah,
Adam Sandler, and it's about like Donkey Kong attacking the city. It looks like the funniest fucking thing I have seen in a long time. You need to go find this trailer, Duane. We'll link it in the show notes for anyone.
Yeah,
who
we will
seen
definitely link it in the show notes.
If you don't have cable, it might not have shown up on any of your like news feeds because I haven't really seen it on Reddit or anything.
Right.
But the commercials that Joe and I have seen on TV are fucking hilarious.
I mean, I was mildly interested, and then I saw Tyrion. And
his name is Peter Dinklage.
Tyrion. He will forever be known as Tyrion to me. Just like what's his face is Neo.
Fuck Ollie.
What's his face? Wow. Okay then.
Fuck Ollie.
Yeah, fuck Ollie.
So I'm going to name some games here. Arcade games.
Oh, I was going to say Slap and Tickle.
Narc.
Crap.
Smash TV.
Crap.
NBA Jam.
Crap.
Mortal Kombat. All of these games were from legendary 90s developer Midway, and they were the biggest arcade game developer in the United States back before the collapse of the arcade market. One of the guys who worked at Midway during its original days in the 90s is putting together a documentary and starting a Kickstarter campaign to raise funds for it. It's going to be called... what the hell is it going to be called?
Not more Kickstarter. I have so much money in Kickstarter right now.
By the way, I was just joking about when I was saying crap. I liked Smash TV.
Insert coin inside Midway's 90s revolution. I looked at the preview on the Kickstarter campaign for this, and it looks pretty good. I might toss $30 their way for a digital download of the documentary. But did you guys take a look at this? This looks kind of neat.
No, I didn't look at that one.
I looked at it, but I don't know. It's a documentary. I'm not 100% interested.
And I just kickstarted another penny arcade based movie thing.
Oh, the Automata
Yes.
Kickstarter?
Yep.
Yeah, I just got into that one as well. I like that particular story they came up with too much not to.
I think that's an interesting concept that they did.
Mm-hmm. I agree. We'll go ahead and link the Automata Kickstarter in the show notes as well. But the Midway documentary seems like it's going to be cool.
Yeah. I mean, I like documentaries and I watch them. I don't know that I love them enough to help pay for them, but the other side of me says, I really want people to keep creating this type of content, and I like the crowdfunding idea of it. I don't know. I'll go look at it and see, maybe.
You know what I do when I get to projects like that, where it's like I agree and I want to endorse the spirit of this project, but I don't necessarily want the project. I just toss them $5. I mean, that's not a lot of money, and you're contributing.
I think I spent more than that on my cold brew Starbucks coffee this morning.
Yeah, we are not sponsored by Starbucks, although you really couldn't tell from a casual observation.
But we wish we were.
Street Fighter V, which isn't out yet, it's not coming out for quite some time, is bringing an entirely new model of DLC to fighting games. Traditionally, ever since the DLC era started and you bought a fighting game, if you wanted to unlock new characters, you had to go out and buy new DLC packs that gave you access to those characters. Well, not anymore, at least not quite with Street Fighter V. The game will feature two currencies, one of which is real money transfer, so you pay and you get your in-game script and you can spend it on things in the in-game store, and the other is earned via gameplay, kind of like with Heroes of the Storm. You can buy things for real money, or you can earn gold by playing and then cash that gold in at the store for certain items or characters. Street Fighter V will do the same thing. Every single DLC fighter available on Street Fighter V after release will be unlockable via gameplay. And this is especially relevant because the beta for Street Fighter V is coming exclusively to PS4 on July 23rd. That's tomorrow on this day that we are recording. So by the time you hear or watch this, if you've got a PS4, you can run out and grab a copy of the Street Fighter V beta. I think this is neat. I think giving people a choice of just, grinding it out or opening their wallet is a nice choice to have.
Just grinding it out. That's going on my list.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I may think about grinding one out later, but I'm not a Street Fighter fan. I've never ground one out to Street Fighter. It's not my thing necessarily, but hey, to each his own. I don't judge.
I don't know. The last time I bought a fighting game was before DLC, and you can unlock all the characters just by playing it, so...
No, not unlock things by playing it. Right. That's just crazy talk. So not when I can get more money out of you.
I've never really liked, having to pay real money, having to pre-order at two different places in order to get both of the different characters from the pre-order bonus.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
And having to pay real money just to play a character that they've held behind a paywall just because it's more of a favorite character. Like, what's the four-armed guy in Mortal Kombat?
Goro in Mortal Kombat.
You have to pay money to use him, and he's one of the more popular guys because he's this big four-armed monster. So...
As opposed to Joe, who's a little four-eyed monster. Rawr.
Wow.
Love you, Joe.
I can kick him off the Skype call.
What did you say? I can kick?
I can kick him off the Skype call if you want.
Oh, okay. No, that would mess up my footage. It's okay.
Damn.
I'll just put Jar Jar over his head.
Why is it called footage? I haven't seen a single foot.
I
don't
know
care.
what? You don't actually want to know the answer to that question.
Exactly.
So, Rust, the survival game Rust, has gotten a lot of flack in the past as it introduces more variety to the individual player characters, things like race and size and what have you, and giving players zero choice over how they end up in the game. Your identity is based on your Steam ID. So when you first log into the game, you might be white, you might be black, you might be somewhere in between, and you have no option to change that because according to developer, you don't get to change that in real life either, unless you're Michael Jackson. They're getting ready to introduce female character models to Rust, and just like with race and size, you will not be able to choose your sex because nobody gets to choose that coming out from the factory anyway. And a lot of people are losing their shit over it. But the developer says it's that a choice exists, but you don't get to choose it. By presenting a choice and choosing for the players, we're saying to them, hey, you're a black guy or you're a girl. And they're saying, no, I'm not. And we're saying, well, look at your body. And they're saying, fuck you. I don't want to be black or a girl. And we're saying, deal with it. They're going to lose some users for doing this, but I think that's a pretty cool standpoint. You know, you don't get to choose these things IRL, so let's experiment with a game where you don't get this choice either. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I see both sides of the argument. I'm interested from the social experiment side of it. Mm-hmm. I think it would probably annoy me if I could not design my own character. I've never played Rust, so I really don't know too much about it. Mm-hmm. But I tend to like to play a certain type of character, and I would prefer that. Like, it would annoy me. I don't want to say this without it sounding weird, but I don't like playing female characters.
Okay.
So, like, I would probably, if I spawn, this is going to sound terrible again. If I spawn as a woman, I'd go jump off a cliff so that I would respawn again, hopefully as not a woman.
It's bound to your Steam ID.
It's bound to your Steam ID. You are the same person for all time.
Then I would never play the game again.
Wow.
I mean, you could look on it on deeper levels too. Like, a lot of people like to try to make themselves in games. It's kind of like this escape where they're playing something else, but they're pretending that they're in the world, role-playing and such. So taking away the ability to role-play in a game because they force you into a certain role, you can't be what you want to be in the game. So it's kind of taking away from the whole fantasy thing to begin with. You're playing these games so that you can live a different life. So them choosing it for you kind of takes away from that, doesn't it?
I mean, if I wanted to play real life, I would just go outside. I play video games to do things that I don't usually do. So I play video games differently than I live my life. I can't just go outside and start shooting people with a carrying around Gatling gun or with grenades like I do in Team Fortress 2. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's different people play games for different reasons and that kind of thing. To me, it's to do something completely different than what I do every day.
I think from where I sit, there are so many other games that let me pick and choose who I am and what I look like and what I do, that this kind of experiment seems fascinating in that it lets me just give up all of that choice and explore the world as something I might not be. But I can see how that can be attractive to some people and not to others.
I think you hit the nail right on the point when you said there's tons of other games where I can go do what I actually want to do. And that's what I'll do. And I think that's what's going to happen to Rust if they stick to this. Just go play DayZ. It's the same game.
All those survival games are
the same game.
They've got some different things to it, but you look at Rust, then you look at what's the name of that dinosaur one that just came out?
Ark.
Yeah.
And it's essentially the same thing, just Ark has more futuristic stuff in dinosaurs, which is a weird combination. And then Rust is just more medievally, isn't it?
It's post-apocalyptic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more post-apocalyptic.
Is that the one with the guns? Like, people making forts and shooting you from... I know DayZ is post-apocalyptic zombies.
Yeah, I don't know what the bad thing is in... I thought Rust was similar sort of DayZ-ish. I don't know if it's zombies, though. I don't know what was that the protagonist?
It certainly doesn't look like zombies, but you're definitely in a post-apocalyptic world because there's, like, power lines and towers and shit.
Could be banditos.
Yeah. But then there's people running around in, leather shirts and swinging swords, so
Right.
Who knows? I've never actually played Rust. I've only really read about it, but it seems kind of neat. It's of all of the survival games, it's the one I've looked at and gone, maybe. All the other survival games I've been like, yeah, no.
Ark looks interesting. If it wasn't $30, I'd probably give it a shot, but $30 is a pretty high paywall for a game like that, in my opinion.
Let's be honest, though. If it wasn't for the dinosaurs, would it be anywhere near as interesting?
I don't know. I've only ever played DayZ, to be honest.
Okay.
And the real DayZ, not the mod.
So remember when we used to go PvP in WoW? It seems like it's been a really long time since any of us have actually played any player versus player. So maybe we should go do that sometime soon.
I did at the very beginning of this recent expansion to get my gear up high enough to do heroics, but that's about it.
Well, in the next patch, Blizzard is planning on rolling out something called Mercenary Mode. If you've ever been on a server or in a battle group where there is we'll call it an unfortunate faction imbalance, it can take a long time for you to get into a fight if you're on the side that has a lot more people. What Mercenary Mode will let you do is it will produce NPCs of the opposing faction in your faction's major city. So for Warlords of Draenor, it would be your city on Ashran, the island apart from the rest of Draenor. When that NPC shows up, you will have the option to go to them and offer to merc yourself out to the opposing faction in the hopes of getting a faster battleground queue. So you get to go dress up as and fight for the Alliance if you're Horde, or for the Horde if you're Alliance, and they use the same tech that permits faction masquerading in the Escape from Durnhold Keep instance and the numerous Pandaria scenarios. It'll be entirely optional, so you can wait it out if you feel icky about fighting for the enemy, but otherwise, if you're sick of having really long battleground queues, this might be the way for you to get your fix on in a decent amount of time. How do you guys feel about this?
Go on, Joe.
Well, I think it's a cool way to balance out the teams more. I don't think there's any real way that they could implement that with zone-wide, like whoever takes the zone. Like if you merc yourself out to try to take Ashran, then you're taking it for the Alliance, and then once you're done being a mercenary, you've got none of the bonuses that they do. Kind of like
Right.
Wintergrasp. If you helped them take Wintergrasp, then you wouldn't be able to do the raid. You would have helped the Alliance be able to do the raid, but the Horde would be out. You'd be out. You wouldn't be able to do it. So for Battlegrounds, for what is it called? Yeah, Wintergrasp. Stuff like Arathi Basin, Warsong Gulch, stuff like that. It's a pretty cool idea, but nothing... You can't do it outside, right? You can't do it in World PvP or anything?
No. It'll work for the Battlegrounds or Ashran itself, but no place else will qualify for this feature. At least not as yet. They're about to go put it on the PTR in the coming weeks or so.
I mean, is there any newer Battlegrounds that have like a raid instance like Wintergrasp?
Does Ashran have a raid instance? I actually haven't really futzed with it at all. Joe, did you do any Ashran at all?
Yeah, they have... So the Alliance is up top, I believe. Horde is on the bottom. And you fight for the middle. There's a lot of daily quests there you can do. As far as I've seen, though, the only thing that you get for taking it over is gear. I don't think there's like a raid that you can do, if that was what the question was.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like Tol Barad or Winter's Grasp where there was a raid you were fighting over access to.
No.
Right.
Okay.
I was just trying to see. I mean, I agree with Joe's point. I was just trying to see if that was still a relevant thing or not. I mean, personally, I think this is kind of interesting. I think that the whole I'm Horde or I'm Alliance, that whole faction split has kind of really got blurred lately in the last, 4 years, maybe 2 expansions, something like that. It's not, the RP servers aren't really RP anymore. They're just another server. So it really doesn't matter to me. I mean, I don't do any PvP anyways, but, if it makes other people's queue times better, then I'll go for it.
All right.
Can
Well,
you still
that'll-
use your racials, though? If you're a Tauren and you switch and turn into a human or something, can you still use your stomp? That's the big question.
That's a good question.
Because-
and not addressed in the article that we'll have in the show notes. And we're going to have to dig around and see what the word is on racials.
Because that would be a big thing. You see a human run at you, all of a sudden you get stunned by a Tauren stomp. So...
Yeah, or see a night elf Will of the Forsaken out of a stun.
Right.
That would be really odd.
Good question.
Well, we'll find out, and when we find out, we'll mention it in follow-up on a future episode of HammerCast. But that'll be it for this week. Thank you guys, and thanks everyone for tuning in. HammerGaming.com/HammerCast/20 is where you can find the show notes for this episode. We're at Hammer Gaming on Twitter. Follow us, and you can get updates on when new episodes are available, as well as other news from the Hammer Gaming community. Todd, where can people find you online?
I can be found at Dregger, DREGG0R on Twitter.
And Joe?
DazikLP, DAZIKLP on Twitter.
And I am Valthonis, that's VALTHONIS. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye!
Thumbs up and fuck on, bitches.
That's pretty much where the video always ends.
Yep.
That's our signature ending.
You know, somebody say something completely ridiculous.
Completely fucking ridiculous.
I can't do it on
Thank
command.
you.